Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sentinel Sports Extra. Sorry about that. Cleveland Cavaliers post-game show. Tonight's game was between the Cleveland Cavs and the Chicago Bulls here at Rocket Arena. And the Cavs prevailed 128-122. Before we get into the facts about the game and the preview of the next two games, this post-game report is brought to you by CT Roofing and Power Washing, the official power washer and roofer of the Lake County Sentinel. So the Cavs, yes, winning 128-122 tonight over the Bulls. It was not easy. There were points of this game where they did everything bad. They shot bad from the field. They shot horrible from three-point range. They missed free throws. They got out-rebounded again. We'll talk about that in a minute. And second quarter, they turned the ball over a bunch. They trailed by 16 at halftime. They were down 19 in the second, trailed by 16 at halftime, went down by 18 the beginning of the third, and then came all the way back to win the game. Beating the Bulls, outscoring them 32-24 in the second or in the third quarter, outscoring them 40-26 in the third quarter. So they outscored them 72-50 in the second half. It was enough to overcome the deficit and to win 122-118, and they were without Garland tonight. I questioned the decision, playing Garland last night and sitting him tonight. It worked out, but I question that. And I'm not sure what the logic is behind it, but I question it. I was talking to one reporter, and he said, well, they don't really care about regular season wins and losses. So I guess that's the deal. They weren't too worried about it. The leading scorers tonight, Donovan Mitchell and DeAndre Hunter, both had 29. And Mitchell scored 26 of those 29 in the second half. He looked god-awful the first half. He just did not look good at all. And then he came out the second half and shot the lights out. So Evan Mobley finished with 24. So he had a good night. Jalen Tyson had 17, including 3 threes. Mitchell had 5 threes, and DeAndre Hunter had 4. But the 3-point show was not only the Cavs. Jalen Smith went 4 for 4 from 3, but the big story for the Bulls, in his return to Cleveland, Isaac Okoro led the Bulls with 19 points. It had to feel good. Coming back to Cleveland, I'm sure he wanted to get the win, but coming back to Cleveland and being the leading scorer for the Bulls when he was maligned so much by, let's face it, Cleveland fans and the media for his lack of scoring. And tonight he led the Bulls in scoring, and they nearly won the game. They did not win the game, but they nearly won the game. So that had to feel really good for Isaac Okoro. As I said, the Cavs were out-rebounded again for the 7th time in 10 games. They were out-rebounded tonight 49-39. It hasn't even been close in most games. They're being out-rebounded by at least double digits almost every night. It's crazy. It's last year they were one of the top 2 teams in the NBA in rebounding. Now they're near the bottom. It's baffling. I'm just not sure. That's going to matter in the playoffs. If people that say that's not going to matter in the playoffs, they're nuts. But I think it's going to matter in the playoffs. I really wasn't too happy with. There was a point, I believe it was don't know if it was the second quarter or the third. I think it was the second, where Hunter scored on Giddey, and Giddey twisted his ankle and was down on the ground, injured, kind of had to be helped off the court. And newer Cav, Thomas Bryant, kind of was mocking him on the sidelines, falling on the floor, kind of mocking him. I'm come from the age where you don't mock a guy when he's hurt, when he gets hurt. So I don't care if Giddey slipped or not. You don't mock a guy when he's hurt. Fortunately for Josh Giddey, he was able to return to the game and play. So, but I just didn't like that Thomas Bryant was doing that, like slipping and falling in front of the Cavs bench, mocking him. That was kind of, I don't know. The Cavs are better people than that. And I really didn't like that very much. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But I didn't think it was a good look. Now the Cavs now head to Miami for back-to-back games with the Heat. They're off tomorrow. Then they play Monday and Wednesday, so they have a day off between the two games. Both games are at 7:30. The Heat are 5-4, 3-0 at home. They're 7th in the East, 1st in the Southeast Division. The Heat leads the all-time series 80-53. That surprised me that it was that much of a deficit. But the Cavs did struggle for a long time in Miami. The Cavs are 17-51 in South Beach. The Cavs have won 2 straight and took the season series last year. The Cavs' all-time record for margin of victory comes against the Heat, and it was the NBA record for a long time until it was broken in the last couple of years. The Cavs set the record on December 17, 1991, when the Cavaliers destroyed the Heat. Weeks after, Heat center Ronnie Cycli declared that he was the best center in the East and definitely better than Brad Daugherty. He called Brad Daugherty out when he was asked this. So Brad Daugherty in the game outscored Ronnie Cycli 17-7 and out-rebounded him. It's crazy to look back at the box score because Winston Bennett was in the starting lineup for the Cavs. He was in the starting lineup for the Cavs that night. That was in Cleveland. But the starting lineup, featured Winston Bennett that night. And of course, Daugherty, Price, John Battle, and I believe Larry Nance. So Battle led all scorers with 18 points. Him and Mark Price had 18. The Cavs had 8 guys in double figures in that game. The crazy thing about that is I remember listening to that game. Well, I listened to part of it. I remember listening to it, and then the first quarter, our power went out at our house. And when the power came back on, it was like an hour and a half later, it was the fourth quarter. The first thing I hear is legendary Cavs broadcaster Joe Tate say, "Cavs by 70." And I thought to myself, well, he's got to mean Cavs by 7. And then they went up 72. And so that was a historic night. December 17th, 1991, when the Cavaliers beat the Heat 148-80. It was the largest margin of victory in the NBA until a couple years ago. I think it's 70 now. But the Cavaliers will be back at home Thursday for the second game of that back-to-back, the second game in Miami, and then the next night they play in Cleveland on Thursday against the Toronto Raptors at 7 o'clock at Rocket Arena. The Raptors are 8th in the East and 3rd in the Atlantic Division. They beat the Cavs at Rocket Arena Halloween night, 112-101. The Cavs are missing Mitchell, Allen, Garland, Strus, and Merrill. Mobley had 29 in that game. Hunter had 26. That night, Jamison Battle, R.J. Barrett, Brandon Ingram all had 20 for the Raptors. So, that game will take place on Thursday night here at Rocket Arena. And I'll be here, and I'll give you a report before and after the game. We will have our Cavs post-game show Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook. So until then, have a good night, everybody. I'm Tim Shirer. I'll talk to you later. Good news from Rocket Arena tonight. Cavs 122, Cavs 128, Bulls 122.